This will be a description of the Quickdraw Weaving program, version 5.2's weaving structure libraries. Now, there are 3 structure libraries that I'm shipping with version 5.2. And when you downloaded the program, it put all of the demonstration files into the Quickdraw program files, typically under C:\program files x86, but you can install that wherever you want to. If you scroll down in that, you'll find 3 structure libraries. And let me go ahead and just walk through what those 3 are, since I've had them all loaded here. Let me start with the summer and winter. The summer and winter library and the non-summer and winter library basically duplicate all of the threading drafts that would be available if I just hit the profile and threading. So it gives me all those choices. So what that shows me here is these are all of the different types of summer and winter I can do with the tread length for an X and O, the block or the columns. And as I scroll through this, I can physically see those. Now, when I do block substitution, these are all including tabby, so when you're done, typically you would need to set the weft sequence to a small thread and a large thread so you can get the tabby down and set the aspect ratio more typically. So those are all of the summer and winter patterns with the treadling. Now there's one other footnote with these. The exclamation point patterns on the tackete basically would not work for drawloom, and I'll talk about that in a separate video. So those would be all the summer and winter, just because there's a lot of choices on summer and winter. The non-summer and winter is basically the rest of the weaving structures, except for crackle, which has its own peculiar requirements. So if you look at what's physically in the non-summer and winter, again, the same note with the tabby, and the exclamation point marks the things that are not for drawloom. But all the laces are here. The way these would be used, if I zoom in on Bronson lace to the background, copy to the pattern, and then if I go back up to this one, I just had a heart pattern set in there that I'd copied from elsewhere, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And when I do the thread sub, it's physically going to substitute those 2 patterns. So that's how these libraries are used for typical application. So I can scroll through all of these. Let's scroll out a little bit. So I've got all the standard laces, the twills. It does add some of the broken twills that I don't think were in the basic libraries. M's and O's, traditional overshots, and straight draws, and a few other things. Several of the drawloom patterns here. I thank Virginia Parks for sending me a copy of Joanne Hall's Drawloom Weaving book, which I went through and verified the drawloom patterns. So several of these were actually out of that book. So those patterns, for example, that aren't more standard drawloom substitutions. So I can grab any of those structures, and for the way they're all set up is the left would be the background pattern, the right would be the pattern structure, and I copy, go back into another I can go back into another window, and I can paste that structure anytime I want to. So that's all of those can be substituted on any of the weaving structures. Thank you. Okay, this is an update for version 5.3, talking about the new multi-layer structure library. This contains the ability to define multiple weave structures in multiple layers. And for example, the double weave is common to the other structures, but I've also added triple weave. You'll notice on double weave, one or the other side is on front. On triple weave, any one of the 3 layers can be either on top, in the middle, or on the bottom. So I've got 6 different combinations. For samples, here's a 4-layer sequence also. And so now in 4-layer, I can pick any one of the 4 to be on each one of the 4 layers. So there's a lot more choices. The next structure here walks through double weaves with twills, either point twills, tabbies, so it's got combinations of setting those up. And these are just kind of samples, but more relevantly, there is a tool here that would allow you to define what I wanted on a layer, and then stack them, generate a new diagram, and just fill that in however you want to. So then really these are just samples. You can then go ahead and create any other structures you want to. So this would be the sample projects for a 3-layer twill would be 3-layer cloth, like a blackout curtain. It would have a black middle layer and different surfaces. The 4th set down here would walk through a 4-shaft twill blocks in 4 colors. So it's fairly complicated example. So those two will be the figures that are used in some of those examples. Thank you.